We'll call to order the Tuesday, August 20th meeting of Plymouth Select Board at this time. This meeting is taking place in a hybrid format. Members of the board are joining us here in person at the Great Hall at Town Hall. Members of the board may be joining us virtually over the Zoom webinar platform. Members of the public who wish to attend this meeting may do so by joining us at the Great Hall, or they may do so by joining us over the Zoom webinar platform themselves. They may do so via the Zoom webinar platform on the link that is on the website, that is posted on the agenda rather, that is on the town website. Members of the public may also observe the meeting by watching us on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 47 by tuning into the local scene formerly known as PAC TV. This evening we will be starting in an executive session. I will now read the executive session language. The Select Board will hold an executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Clause 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. This will be in relation to collective bargaining. The Select Board, while we are in executive session, will also be reviewing and voting to approve executive session minutes from June 4th and July 23rd of 2024. Mr. Bletzer, would you care to make a motion that we enter into executive session for those stated purposes?
Yes, it'd be my pleasure to make a motion to go into executive session.
And Mr. Golden, would you care to second?
Second.
It has been moved, it has been seconded. Any discussion as to whether or not we should go into executive session at this time? Hearing and seeing none, those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed and abstentions? All right, we are in executive session. We will be returning at approximately 6 p.m. to open session. Thank you.
Welcome to the Select Board meeting, August 20th, 2024. Please join the board in a pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Canty, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Consistent with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the Select Board after notifying the chair, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair, so as to not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. At the beginning of a meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any recordings taking place. At present, the board is aware of the local scene, formerly known as PAC TV, recording this meeting. Mr. Chair, I had an opening statement I'd like to make, if you're...
Yes, you may, and then I believe Mr. Blutzo has one.
I believe so.
Okay.
So, this has been the first meeting since this occurred, but unfortunately, and we are hearing a presentation from the relevant committee this evening, which is just happenstance, but back on Friday, August 8th, there was a tragic and unfortunate car accident that claimed the life of Martha Sheldon, who was the wife of Brian Harrington, longtime member of the Open Space Committee. Both of them were involved in community groups, both within the town government and outside of it, for a number of years, contributing significantly to the well-being of this community. And the tragic and unexpected loss of Martha, I'm sure, wears heavily on her family, including Brian. And we certainly wish Brian well in his recovery from that accident, and the board expresses its condolences for that loss.
Thank you. And I'd like to also mention another distinguished member of our community, longtime, all his life, member of the community, Charlie McAferry. Charlie was an icon, and came from a very distinguished family. Everybody knows Puritan Clothing, it was their family business, among other things, and then Charlie got into the real estate. But Charlie helped a lot of people. He was a great person and a great human being, and he's going to be missed by this community. So I just want to remember Charlie for what he's done for our community. Thank you.
This time, I'd like to join the board in a moment of silence. Thank you. We're going to move on to licenses first. We've changed the agenda around a little bit so the people that are in the audience or people with town staff can get to do their business a little quicker, and we'll do the other stuff. We're going to try this. And there's a member of the board that has a special request on something that's in the administrative notes or something, at any meeting, at any time, just request, and I'll move it forward, but that's the reason and then the thought behind it, and the only reason. And I'd just like to mention one thing before we get started. There's been a lot of talk this week about the Land Acknowledgement Act, if you will, and or agreement, and I want the board to know that we're gonna take some time and look at it and give it the good look that it deserves. But I won't be taking any motions or action on this topic tonight due to the, what we actually know about it, and to do it right, do it the right way. So we will be looking at it in the near future, and I believe the precinct chairs, some of them will be coming in next week to speak briefly on it. They've asked, and just like somebody else asked to speak tonight, and I appreciate you asking me, but everyone always has the right to speak here. So as long as you're respectful, and that's all I ask. So that being said, we're going to move on to licenses, please. Any questions or comments on any of the licenses? If not, the wish of the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if there are no questions from my colleagues, I would make a motion to approve the listed licenses and permits as a group. Second?
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Bletzer?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So approved. The first agenda item is the Cultural Council. And we have one applicant. It's a 3-year term, Lisa. She's not here. No. Jade, Lisa Riley's not online, right? We're doing appointments for the Cultural Council?
Yes, she's not online.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, despite her absence, we do have her
Mhm.
application materials in the packet, of course. She has previously served on this committee, so yeah, I think I have sufficient information to be able to assess her credentials and qualifications, and I would make a motion to reappoint Ms. Riley to the Cultural Council
Second.
Committee.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Bletzer?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous. Energy Committee appointment, 3 vacant seats, 2 3-year and 1 1-year term. Geraldo Jerry Melio. Okay. Mr. Canty?
So, despite his absence, we also have his materials and qualifications, including his education, which is rather extensive, and 35 years of experience working for the Federal Housing Administration as a project manager. So I feel that I can accurately assess his credentials even in his absence. So I would make a motion that we approve Gerardo Jerry Melio as, for this, I guess, for the 1-year term in his absence for the Energy Committee appointment.
Yeah, I would take one.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Before I vote, I have a question. It says 1-year term, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
That says a
Yes,
high
we're
school
doing
student,
one.
doesn't it?
No, that's for No Place for Hate.
Oh, I did the wrong one, okay. I vote yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Now's no place for hate.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, don't be sorry. 5 vacant seats, vote anticipated, naturally. There's 2 3-year terms, 2 2-year terms, 1 1-year term, Plymouth South High School student. Paul Adams here?
Well, and he's not online?
I don't believe it's a
He's
student.
not online.
Okay.
I don't believe it's a student.
No,
He is not a student.
No.
Right, yeah, by
Based
looking
on
at the
his
resume.
credentials. So, Mr. Adams's credentials submitted are quite extensive. His questionnaire is quite lengthy in his responses, so it gives us a significant opportunity to look at his qualifications and experience. So despite his absence, I feel confident that I could appoint him to this committee in good faith. Though in his absence, I would prefer to appoint him to one of the 2-year term seats. So I would make a motion to that effect. Second?
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Canty?
So this isn't about Mr. Adams specifically, but there are a lot of vacancies on No Place for Hate, and there have been, I think, for some time. So I know obviously all of our vacant committees are important, but given the sheer volume of vacancies on No Place for Hate, and I think when, in the past, when we've had this on our agenda, we only had like 1 or 2 applicants applying. I think we seem to be like losing people faster than we're gaining them. So it would be, I think we should put special emphasis on trying to backfill this committee before, because obviously the fewer people are on, the more work for the people that remain, and then the quicker those people are going to leave, so it can become a vicious cycle. So I would just hope that we particularly emphasize filling these remaining vacancies.
Duly noted. Any more discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, and that was the 2-year term.
Yes.
And we're gonna ask Jay to re-advertise for those, correct? Thank you. Roads Advisory Board appointment, 2 vacant seats, 1 applicant, 2 2-year terms. Michael White. Is Michael White here? Okay.
Well, despite his absence, there seems to be a common refrain this evening, but despite his absence, we do have his application materials, which provide significant background information about his qualifications. His resume is included with his career experience as well as a blurb about himself. So even though he is not present, I do feel comfortable making a motion to appoint him to one of the 2-year terms for the Roads Advisory Board. Second?
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Blitzer?
Could I just request in the future that these folks have got to be here for this? I'm not, I looked at the resumes and everything looked okay, but, we're appointing people to these committees, and, I'd like to be able to ask them questions about the committees and just get a feel for who we appoint. These are important appointments, so, and it's always in the past, I know just recently, I noticed there's a lot not showing up, so Jade, I'm not sure if they're just not being notified that they have to be here. Could we make sure that they have to be here? They can come on Zoom if they want,
They are notified via email, but I can make a point to
because it
both
makes me,
email and call them for confirmation.
and then I wonder, do they really want this? And if we're just wasting our time, if they're not gonna show up, so we, in the past, there was 2 folks, one 4 times in a row, one 3 times in a row, didn't show up for appointments, and we didn't vote them. We didn't vote either one of them, and that's really how it should be. But anyway, if we can just, in the future, make that happen, and if I'm confident that they know they have to be here, then I'm not gonna vote for them if they don't show up, so, anyway, thank you.
You can put a little sugar on that. I mean, if they want to zoom in, that's okay, too.
No, if
You know what I
they,
mean?
no, if they.
Well, it's not like show up or not, because
No,
that hasn't
if
been
they-
the past practice.
They've, in the past, have contacted.
Okay,
uh,
we
the
can
administrative
request,
assistant and
sounds
said, I
better.
can't be here tonight, but I'm still interested in the position.
Right.
And that's happened before. That's all I ask. That's-
Okay, well, requesting them to show up either way.
If that's sugar, okay. Some sugar.
Well, it's not demanding that they be here, but. Okay, moving right along. Ms. Harris is here, I believe. How are you, Jen?
So let's see. Hello. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for allowing us to be on your agenda. I'm representing the Art and History Collections Task Force. We were originally put together, I'm going to say at least 2016 or 2017, as the town was preparing to build a new town hall. They realized that they had quite a number of artifacts at the old town hall that many people didn't know what should happen to them, what we actually had, what was of value. So a committee was put together of representatives, and I ended up on the committee in 2016. So basically, we took anything of value that we decided was really of value, and our crowning glory, I feel, is our 1857 map of Plymouth County by H.F. Walling and Company. There are at least 2 other restored maps like that in town. The Plymouth Public Library has one of them. But this is literally one of the most valuable possessions that the town had. As they were clearing out the old town hall, they found in the engineering division's vault. They found this rolled up. It is paper with ink, color ink, drawn in the 1850s. Walling was famous for his cartography. Nowadays, so many people don't even know what cartography is, or they don't even know how to read a map. So what's wonderful about this map, upon its restoration, as you have public come in and they see the map, they end up going and looking to see where they grew up, what it looked like back in the 1850s. So it's really quite stunning. And the work that we did came as a result of asking the CPC to fund. We did a restoration of the map as well as the 1890 coastal survey of Plymouth Harbor. I don't have that located yet here in the town hall. But you take a 6-foot by 6-foot piece of artwork like this, and to find a good space in the town hall was a bit of a challenge. Silvio helped me. Derek approved. But we do feel that it will get great exposure, especially since you hold your meetings here. People will be able to see it and enjoy it. The CPC did fund for $22,000, and I have to give a special thanks to Tiffany Parks, who was the chair of the committee at that time as a staff member. She was the one who wrote the grant, and it was accepted. Then we worked with the New England Document Conservation Center, which is one of the best in the country. So they ended up with that map in, I'm going to say 2019. You know it happened in 2020. So it sat up there. I retired from the library in 21, and it still sat up there. I came back, and this was, I think Derek was here. Oh, I know, I worked with Brad Brothers. And I came to him and I said, you know, we've got this task force or committee, and I'm willing to, and we have this money put aside. And I said, I'm willing to work, you know, we were all volunteers, to get this done. So that's why it's also, I consider it a crowning glory, because this has been going on since 2022 when we started back up again. So I would like to thank the members who have been very consistent in attending. David Buckman, who was the owner of Gull Studio, so he's our art specialist. Fran and Souther Barnes, who are delightful town residents who know everything. They know where all the bodies are buried. They actually donated a desk upstairs that is in the courthouse. Donna Curtin, who is here tonight, taking some of her precious time and sharing it with us. Then we have Judy Fosdick, who I work with as a trustee at the Plymouth Public Library, and Maggie Tavares. The two of them are in charge of the subcommittee of handling all our storage and our selection and the exhibit cases that are throughout the town hall. And when Shishigahama representation was coming over, they went through and did a marvelous job setting up those exhibits. So each one of us has our own little skill set. I don't have any of the art skill set, but I just like to make things happen. And then Connor Anderson, who's our town archivist, he is also on it. So we work very closely with him. He works with town administration. So I think everyone on the task force really made an effort to make this happen. I do know that the board is interested in having a plaque written, so we're working on that with a couple other plaques of some of the other work that we preserved. And I think I've covered everything. I'm happy to entertain any questions. This is just a wonderful historic event for the town, so.
Thank you. Any questions for Jen?
No question.
Comments?
I got a question.
Mr. Canty?
So I had two, but one of them you already answered, which was I've noticed this, a very similar, I assume it's an identical map at the library, and this is,
Well, they are identical, however, they were in different condition.
yes.
This is the best one of all the ones that have been preserved.
Okay, okay. Now, I notice, I mean, what stands out is that some of the towns, municipalities are in blue. When this was originally, just for my own information, when this was originally
Yes.
printed, would it have been like, when you see a map of the United States, the different states are in all different colors? Or
Yes.
is there any particular reason why, or Or just some of them in blue for some other reason?
So Walling had 4 different styles that he used, that he integrated into different maps. Some of them were embellishments. Some of them designated densely populated areas. He had decorative borders. He used pastel wash colors. I don't have a specific on the color blue, but he was known for all his maps having similar representation, and they called them embellishments.
Okay.
You did remind me of 2 other points that I wanted to make, if you folks don't mind. At the time that this was created, it was Billings who was designing the design for the Forefathers Monument. It started being spoken about in 1820, I believe, to commemorate. And so what happened was it wasn't actually built by the time this map was made, but he included a drawing of it, which was it was expected to be 125 feet tall. But the one that we do have now is not as tall as that. But it was built into this particular map, which is very exciting. And I know that there was something, oh, finally, and I'll end it with that unless you have any other questions. So this is on the Library of Congress website. So anyone around the world could type in Walling map, Plymouth County Walling map, 1857, and they would find it listed, and you can find all sorts of details because it's the Library of Congress, and that's what they do. So we will put a link, we'll put, so that people, if they want to. I think
That would
we
be
can
great.
even do a QR code.
Thank you.
Good? Thank you. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you for all you do for the
Great
community.
job, Jen, thank you.
Yep. Open Space Recreation Plan?
Do I control the slides with this?
Yes.
This is, okay, great. Good evening, everybody. I am Deb Iaquinto. I'm with the Open Space Committee, and I just want to thank you all so much for this opportunity to present the results of our Open Space and Recreation Plan survey. This was truly a team effort. So I am joined here tonight with Steph Silva, who is the chair of the Open Space Committee, Steve Bulletin, who is the newest member of the Open Space Committee, and here in spirit are Andrea Dickinson, Diane Peck, Bruce Howard, Brian Harrington. Thank you for your kind words, Brian. Lois Post, John Hammond, and of course Patrick Farah, okay, all heavily involved in creating this. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background just for context, and then we'll jump into the results. And please interrupt me with questions as we go along. First of all, why did we do this survey? What's the purpose of it? So every 7 years, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts requires all communities to submit an updated open space and recreation plan in order for the communities to remain eligible for state funding and grants for certain projects that we might want to do. So 2024 was the year to do that. And a big part of that process of developing that application is to get community input. So this go-around, we decided to do a quantitative survey and offer it to all of the town to participate in. So the stars were aligned this time around because the timing coincided quite nicely with the master plan update, as well as the climate action and adaptation plan that the town was working on. So we are able to use these survey results to help inform those planning processes as well. So it's very exciting for us. In fact, the Open Space Committee is partnering with the Planning Committee to do a joint master plan listening session on September 12th. It's focused strictly on open space and recreation. So it's going to be at the library. You'll be hearing a lot more about that later, so I just wanted to get that little plug in, that this data is going to have legs and live beyond its original intent. The third reason for the survey is that it does support the work of a lot of town departments that are related to open space and recreation, including the Conservation Commission, Parks and Forestry, and Natural Resources. So everybody's going to benefit from this data. Okay. Oh, I got to change the slide, sorry. Okay, so there's the survey goals. Sorry about that. Participation. So who was involved in this survey? Who actually participated in it? So we had 459 residents, tried like heck to get it up to 460, the round number, but we just couldn't get that one last person. But 459 residents responded to 11 quantitative questions and submitted 620 written comments. And I read every single one of those comments, and they were amazing. Very insightful, very thoughtful, and very constructive. Happy to say. So we did collect a little bit of demographic information this time around. So you can see the age demographic there. It does skew a little bit older. So we have about 2/3 of the respondents were 55 and above. But there is enough participation in some of the age groups that we do think it was a pretty fair representation. And if we had any interest in drilling down a little bit into any demographic, we have the ability to do that, to sort the data in that way. We were also really thrilled to see that just about every community in Plymouth was able to participate more heavily in Manomet, West Plymouth, and Pine Hills, as you can see up there. But there was good representation throughout the town. And what this tells us is that we have to work a little bit harder next time to make this accessible for some of the other communities that didn't have as strong a showing in this survey. I think one of the really interesting points to note here, it's down on the bottom there, is that 92% of the participants were Plymouth homeowners. So that means they are property taxpayers and they have a vested interest in what we do with the survey data. Okay. So one more little background information here. Oops, sorry about that. I went too fast. Just a word about the administration. People often ask about how did you try to reach people? So we did conduct this via SurveyMonkey. We administered it over a 2-month period from this past April and May, and all of these organizations and groups helped to get the word out. So special shout out to Plymouth Independent, to the Plymouth Public Library, to the town of Plymouth. The town clerk's office was very helpful to us. Sustainable Plymouth, all of these groups helped to get the word out either by sending out links or by distributing flyers that had QR codes that allowed people really easy access to the survey. Okay. Any questions about the background before I move on to the good stuff? Okay. All right, so as I said, we got a lot of write-in comments, a lot of responses to the quantitative data as well. But there was an underlying theme that ran throughout the survey, and I thought that this one comment from a constituent actually captured it beautifully, so I'm going to just read it to you. It's important to keep investing in open space. It's a community good whose value isn't immediately measurable in dollars and cents, but it contributes immeasurably over time to the quality of life and beauty of our community. And I think that that's a sentiment that was expressed, this was expressed quite eloquently, but a lot of other people echoed that throughout the survey. So it was very, very nice to see how important that is to people. All right. So the first question we asked was, how important is it for Plymouth to provide and maintain open space for these reasons? We provided this list of 10 reasons, and we asked people to evaluate them on a 5-point scale, ranging from extremely important to not at all important. And out of the 10, you can see that the top 5 were all related to the environment, which shows that the people are really equating open space with these environmental benefits: water quality protection, natural environment preservation, protecting wildlife habitats, flood control and storm protection, biodiversity, and climate resiliency. All were top of mind in this survey. It's not to say that the others were not important. They were just as important, but the environmental issues really kind of rose to the top there. We also asked which of the many resources that Plymouth offers are most important to you and your family. And beaches and hiking trails are really highly valued. And again, that was reflected throughout the survey, how much people use them and value them and would like to see some improvements made to them. But that was really encouraging to see. And protected conservation areas, neighborhood parks, bike paths, everything you can see, it starts to move down. It's not to say that anything was less important. These things were important to some segment of the population. Okay. This, I thought, was a really interesting question. We asked people if there is a specific open space or recreation area in Plymouth that you feel needs improvement, and what improvement would you like to see? And this was strictly write-in, so there was no quantitative prompting. This was just all, top of mind. What do you think? This is your chance to help build a wish list of improvements. And so, they only got to choose one. So we took all the comments, 300 comments, and categorized them, and they basically fell into these 5 categories. The first one was beach upgrades. You saw how much people value the beach, and people were talking about the need, or the desire to improve Long Beach and White Horse Beach. Top of the list was getting rid of Burt's. It always comes up as, an eyesore, and wouldn't it be a beautiful beach if we didn't have that there? So lots of comments about that, if anyone wants to look at them. Replenishing
Deb?
the sand.
Deb, there
Yes.
might be a spelling error there. I just want to let you know.
I did what?
There might be a spelling error on Burt's. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Oh, okay, I apologize
I'm
for that.
I'm kidding. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
okay, all right. Okay. Now I'm going to worry about that for the whole presentation. Don't point out any miscommas, John, please.
You're doing great.
Okay.
The only person who is going to notice is the one that spoke, so you're fine.
Okay. They also, a lot of comments about making the beaches more accessible for people that have mobility issues, which I thought was an interesting and very fair comment to make. Adding bathroom and food facilities, and improving and expanding the parking options at the beaches. Those all kind of rose to the top there. The parks and ponds renovations was another big category, and I feel like people were like looking at their neighborhoods, what improvement could we make for our neighborhood parks, and because we had a very long list. These were the ones that were most mentioned. I'm not going to read them to you. You can see them there, but people are very interested in having those facilities upgraded. I loved this one, the non-motorized infrastructure. There were a lot of comments, very good and thoughtful comments about making Plymouth more walkable and more bikeable. It was really kind of an underlying theme of having better connectivity between communities and downtown. Someone gave the example of, being able to connect West Plymouth with downtown. I'm not exactly sure how that would happen, but it would be amazing if we could do that. So it's just, as we plan, the future of Plymouth, I think people really would appreciate the ability to get around without their cars a little bit more. The dog park people were a small but very passionate group, and basically what they said was, we need one. I think that there are plans underway. I think I heard something that there are some plans underway for looking at dog parks, but I know that there will be a number of people out there who will be very happy if we can make that happen. The other theme, and I'm sure that this is no surprise to anyone, but there was a lot of passionate pleas in this survey to stop building and to manage development a little bit better, more effectively. And this quote, I thought, summed it up. It's one of the only ones that I could probably publish as well. The best way to improve all open spaces is to stop destroying them. I thought that was very nicely said, and that was a sentiment shared by all, by many. Okay, so the town has 4 ways to acquire open space. 4 main ways. There may be others, but these are the 4 main ways to acquire open space. So we asked people which of these did they support, and they basically supported all of them. The strongest support went to the one at the top there, requiring developers to dedicate specific proportions of open space in their projects. But people were also very supportive of purchasing land through CPA funds, promoting gifts of private land to Conservation Commission, and conveying town-owned tax title properties, which are foreclosed properties just for clarity, to conservation or recreation status. So people were very supportive of all of those efforts that we have available to us, all of those levers. Okay. All right. And this is the money question, I guess, if there was one in this survey. So this is when we asked people to look into the future and to think about what is the single most important issue the town should consider for open space going forward. And again, these were strictly write-in comments. There were no prompts, It was just open-ended. There were 300 people that responded, and when we categorized all of the comments, we had about 44% asking about controlling development, that they would like to see that as a priority. How is the town going to do that? 21%, it dropped off pretty precipitously from there, so 44% down to 21% for the next one. Acquiring and maintaining more open space and conservation land. 13% said the priority should be to protect the water supply. 12% provide more recreation options, and 10% to make Plymouth more walkable and bikeable. So those are the highlights of the survey. I'm going to stop and ask if there are any questions about anything that I've shared tonight. Any surprises in the data?
Deb, so far you're doing great. I just think that on this one here, not all 5 of those are independent of each other.
Correct.
So I just, if we're looking at the 13% with the, the water supply and, being third on the list, but we look at the 44 controlled development, I mean, those two go hand in hand. And
Correct, right. And you know what, I think that's, John, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I think that's a great opportunity for us to connect those dots for people.
there's a multitude of, especially if it's properly cited, if you took a quote-unquote 100 acres out of play, and this is a hot-button issue right now, but you'll never be exposed to a 40B. You potentially might have the site for a future well, but most importantly, you're protecting water because you're not, under no circumstances are you being forced to provide a development water that you don't have. So if and when that water were to come out of the system, the aquifer, you're doing it on your terms and not on someone else's, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's an excellent point. And I think what we saw in the data is, a lot of communication opportunities and education opportunities for all of us to really help to, use the data, connect the dots for people, and then present a narrative that, shows what we're doing in response not only to the data, but in response to the master plan process and all the other initiatives that are going on. It's just a great opportunity for this to all come together. And for us to say that we've listened and we heard people. And here's what we'll do going forward. Are there other thoughts? Yes.
I just have a question on controlled development. How do you recommend that? Or is it a couple different things?
Oh.
Like limiting building permits? I know
Yeah, so there
that's
was.
been a hot button item, but I got to tell you, the longer I sit and look around this town, the more I'm thinking very serious about a presentation to this board in this town, this community. So the average person understands what goes on, and how it gets there, and I know Steve's here also.
Yeah.
And I told, that's not the right thing to do because there's gonna be an influx, but sooner or later, that levels out. Do we have the option to charge larger developments more money as the way they use it? In other words, tier pricing and building permits? Coming up in the near future, I want the board to have this docket item and have our department heads come in and make recommendations, because I've been told for a many number of years, like limiting building permits wasn't a good idea, and maybe it was different reasons back then. But we need to do something. And I know it has something to do with zoning, which for the life of me, we haven't done anything to change our zoning. When I say we, a community, we need to have this discussion of how we get there. And I know the master plan's going in place, and there's a lot of things I don't understand, but I'm trying to learn, and I'm open to learning, but we have to do something to stop the massive building that's going on in this town, the best we can as a community.
And I think that's what people were asking for in the survey, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, no one was offering solutions. I mean, it's sort of a big issue. But they were just expressing their opinions on what they were seeing and the optics of what's happening around town. So,
Mr. Canty?
And I would, point out as it relates to Open Space Committee's work, and John sort of alluded to it earlier, like when the Open Space Committee or CPA is putting something into open space, or if the land bank hopefully passes, that has an open space component. If something's put into open space, it's off the market for being developed, so rather than, obviously, doing something with building permits, you could adjust the zoning bylaw, you could, although there are significant negatives associated with having a building moratorium. Those are separate other ways to limit development for long-term or short-term, depending on the application. But what open space is doing, the Open Space Committee, as well as these other open space tools, they're taking property off the rolls for development purposes, which with the right parcels in the right places can have significant strategic benefits for aquifer protection, open space recreation, et cetera, but also to stop sprawl and development and drainage services. So I just wanted to highlight that particular application as it applies to the Open Space Committee's work, as well as the other boards and committees that are working on open space in the community. Thank you.
Yep, and I get what you're saying there, like with the CPC, I mean, I was there for its inception. I remember sitting with Paul Withenden. He was the one that sat me in PCIS and actually got me to support it.
Oh.
And I know it's funny, people say it was election time, and I think I was out there by myself, but I supported it. And I'm glad I did. I sat on it for many years, so I get that portion of it. I haven't heard anything really, nobody sat me down about the land bank. So when we do our docket item, I'd like to have education on all that stuff, because I think it's gonna be a number of things, but we have to do something more than just CPC tax, and I don't know what the land bank is, but I think it's probably coincides quite a bit with what the CPC does.
It complements.
Yeah, complements it, okay.
And adds to, yeah.
But, I mean, I think we still need other things, as we face water being moved around town from North Plymouth to West Plymouth, as you see going on with Claremont and, different situations we're in. So it will be coming up, but I do appreciate the presentation, and I'm learning a lot, so.
Good, well, anything we can do to help support
Absolutely.
your efforts, we're happy to do.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Debbie, great job on this. The one just comment I want to make
Yeah,
is on the maintaining open space and conservation land. Open space is definitely very important. I just think we got to be real careful on how much land we conserve, because once we conserve land, we can't put a shovel in it. We can't do anything with that land. And down the road, we don't want to limit ourselves. At some point, we really have to talk about some economic development, and we need land to do that in the right places, smart development, buffered with open space. So I don't want to, we can't limit ourselves by conserving too much land. We got to be very careful about that.
I think the committee, speaking on behalf of the committee, I think we would agree that there needs to be a balance.
And even some of the, provide more indoor, outdoor recreation options. If we conserve land, we can't do anything with
Correct.
recreation on that land. And so that's all. I just want to, make sure that we have that option at some point.
Yeah,
So,
no, I know there is a balance there, and
Right.
we need to figure out how to strike it. Yep.
Yep.
I just
Thank
have-
you.
Yep.
John, Mr. Mahoney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a general comment, which I think I've said within the last month, but the success of the Community Preservation Committee initially, when you were involved rolling it out, Mr. Chairman, was that there was a dollar-for-dollar match from the Commonwealth.
Yes, it was.
And that match from the Commonwealth has dropped off precipitously. And, 4 to 8 weeks ago, I had a conversation with Lieutenant Governor, and that was one of the topics to me. And, I love the fact that the Commonwealth has, I believe, almost $10 billion in a rainy day of fund. But if they wanted to, they could get that back to a dollar-for-dollar match. And not only could that committee would be able to do more open space and more quote-unquote affordable housing projects, both in sensible locations. And that is, unfortunately, that's a failure in my view of the state legislature.
Okay. Okay. Let me just wrap this up here. I just want to talk a little bit about next steps. So we will be communicating the survey results out more broadly, hopefully using all of the venues that helped us to distribute the survey itself, and they'll be interested and willing to help us get the survey results out as well. It will obviously be used to inform the 2024 Open Space and Recreation Plan that we'll submit to the state later this year. As I mentioned earlier, it will support the master planning process and other town initiatives. Another little PSA for our listening event on the 12th of September at the library, 6 o'clock. And then the Open Space Committee will use these results to develop our own recommendations and our own agenda for the next 7-year period. Just a quick look back here on, this is a bit of an eye chart, I'll go over it quickly, but just a sampling of the accomplishments and the things that the Open Space Committee has contributed to the town in the past 7 years since the last plan was filed. Over about, let's see, is that approximately 488 acres of land was acquired via tax title conveyance for open space at no cost to the town. More than 60 work projects completed to open and maintain walking trails and forest preserves, and that included a trail camera project to assess the use of selected trails. I think that's pretty impressive. We've done a ton of outreach and education. The trail guides are very popular. We've distributed thousands of them over the last few years. Co-sponsored a guide called the Invasive Plant Guide, the Dirty Dozen with Sustainable Plymouth, led 14 community hikes, participated in annual communication activities, including the Herring Festival. And we recently, this year, we started creating story walks for children along certain trails in town in partnership with the public library and the Plymouth public school system, and we have another one planned for the fall. So we're doing lots and lots of different things, and we hope to continue to build on that going forward and to also strengthen our partnerships with all of the organizations that you see listed here. Just one final word. I wanted to end on a positive note. Wasn't sure how the discussion would go, but this is a thought from a constituent that I wanted to share with you because I think sometimes we lose sight of this fact. Plymouth is incredibly unique in its offerings. Oceans, lakes, cranberry bogs, hiking trails, golfing, downtown neighborhoods keep the diversity of what is available. This is a huge part of the draw. And to me, this just reaffirms that open space and recreation opportunities are part of our identity as a town. And I think it's something for us all to keep in mind as we move forward. Okay, thank you all again so much.
Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deb, thank you for the presentation. It was great.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing more from you folks about the work that you're doing. Can you tell me a little bit about when you folks gather your information about open space in town, do you include anything that's currently under an open space covenant that can expire? So like a developer enters into a covenant with the town to keep space open for a period of time. Is that part of your process?
That's a new one on me. I don't believe
Okay.
that that's something that we do. Are you talking about the tax title properties?
No, so
Okay,
maybe Mr. Bolton has some insight into this as the
Maybe he
chair of
does.
the planning board.
I hope he does because I don't.
So could you talk a little bit about open space covenants, Steve, how they work and what they do for the town?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. Steve Bolton, Chair, Planning Board, Member, Open Space Committee. There are, in some instances, developments in which we require open space remain in existence for a period of time rather than in perpetuity. That is not something we have been doing for some time now. So there are some properties out there in which development has occurred, in which the open space is only for a limited period of time, after which in the future, the developer can come back and ask to develop that area again. We're finding that given the way zoning has changed in the interim, as we've done that, that is less likely because the densities that would be resulting from that would be in excess of the zoning. The practice right now, however, is for anything that is coming before us as open space is either to be dedicated as open space as part of the permitting and/or placed into permanent conservation, and in some instances, given to the town separately for them to do that. So it's something that still exists, but it is not current practice, nor is it likely to come up in any significant amount, given the changes in zoning since that practice was in place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Canty?
So first, following up on what Mr. Golden brought up, I think a lot of what has flown into tax title property, I remember when I first started on the FinCom, over 10 years ago, sadly, at this point, there was a lot of developments that had been built in West Plymouth in the 70s that had an open space parcel that they stopped paying the taxes on them, so then they flowed into tax title status, and then we were putting them into open space restriction because of that. But I think a lot of them have come in that way, but yeah, I know they haven't been reviewing that. I don't know how many of them are still lingering around, because it has been a while since the town did that. But I just wanted to, Deb, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for, I know you were out evangelizing the survey at the Herring Run back in April. You convinced me to do it later that day, because I made a promise to you. So I appreciate that. I think getting those results is important, and getting that awareness out is important. I think, too, like efforts like this highlight the resources that we have in the town, like the trails that we have, the conservation areas, and I think if people don't know that those are there, they don't necessarily see the value in those things. I think there is a lot of value, not just for aqua protection, but also, the passive recreation, the wildlife preservation, wildlife habitat, and keeping native species there, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on, but I will not. But I think raising that awareness is in and of itself a benefit. I've also had the opportunity to attend several open space committees meetings over the last year, and I've really valued the work and the process that you guys go through. You evaluate each of the parcels that are coming before you. You don't say, let's take everything. Some of them you do say, we don't want this because we think it's better for the DPW to have, or it's better to go on the tax rolls, or this isn't sufficient that we would want to do something with this. So I think some people think you guys just gobble up everything you can, but I can personally attest that is not the case. And I think it's a very well-functioning committee that does a lot of important work that is perhaps not as recognized as it should be, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize not just yourself, but the other members of the committee as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we are a very thoughtful group, and we're excited about the opportunities that this survey is going to give to us as well.
Mr. Mahoney?
Deb, just a closing thought. 6 days from tonight, this room is probably going to be standing room only on a proposal that the board has brought forward on the full sale, which obviously is tied in, has been for decades, to Whitehorse Beach and Manamet. And I would take this presentation as a de facto endorsement that the board is moving down the correct path and trying to get that structure removed and, increasing passive recreational opportunities down on the beach down there. So if I get up to the microphone that night, I just want to let you know I might reference this report.
Please, that would be great. Yeah, please, use the data however you see fit. Thank you all again.
Thank you. Oh, good. I just might want to add to the trails paths in town that tonight the VSB and the chairman's here approved almost $50,000 for Mr. Gould to do the trail to the trout hatchery, I believe that it was, in the Jenny Gristmill area, to connect that whole trail. So that was approved tonight a little while ago, and that's going to be nice for the community also. Thank you. Select Board goals and priorities, Mr. Branisi.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin, I just want to thank Deb and the Open Space Committee for the work that they've done on this survey. Deb had sent me the survey results about a month ago now, and after reading them, I thought, wow, this really needs to go in front of the Select Board. So not only the select board can hear this information, but the community at large. So Deb, thank you, the Open Space Committee. And as I was listening to your presentation, I was going through all the different goals and objectives that I'm going to present this evening. And we have approximately 8 of our objectives meet many of the criteria that you have set forth in the open space survey. So we'll continue to work with the committee over the years so that their work can inform our decision-making in the future. So again, Deb, thank you and your team. So moving on to the FY25 Select Board goals. So this is our annual event. We started this back in 2022. And so this is the third year that we've done this. So I'll just go through the process real quick, just so folks who haven't been a part of the process understand, how we arrived to today's presentation. In July this past year, we were a little bit late. Normally, we like to do a year in review right around the June time period, and that's our opportunity to look back at the previous set of goals from the previous year and to measure our progress so that we can determine whether or not we were able to accomplish those objectives that we had set forth. And so we had done that this past July. I had conducted that presentation to the board. The results of our work in FY24 are on the website. You'll see many of the objectives have been accomplished. Many of them are still in progress. And you'll see another set of achievements that were not identified a year ago, but were accomplished anyways. As we all know, that government is a fluid organization, and we have to be responsive to the community needs. And so oftentimes, we end up doing more than we set forth on day one. So after we completed that process, myself and the assistant town manager, as we do every year, we sit down with all the department heads, and we start to draft what we think are realistic and achievable and measurable goals for the coming year. As you know, we have many professionals who have been doing this for decades, and they really understand the direction that the board is seeking, and they're trying to draft their goals in order to meet those that vision. And so then once we complete that process, we hold a workshop with the select board. This workshop was held 2 weeks ago, where we present the information from the department heads. That gives the board the opportunity to hear what the department heads believe are important. That gives the board the opportunity to share their vision, their goals for this year. And so it ends up becoming a combination of bottom-up goals, also with top-down goals. And so that's what we'll be asking for your approval tonight. So those are the results. So certainly I can't go through all of the objectives. So I'll just highlight the overarching goals. Right now, we have approximately 53 objectives that are embedded amongst the goals that I'll talk about. So each and every year, we have a set of goals. We have 11 this year that are focused on ensuring a safe and healthy community. We have approximately 4 goals that focus on our commitment to long-term financial planning. We have 3 goals that are focused primarily on communicating and engaging with the public. As I mentioned, I think at our last meeting, Casey Kennedy is our new communications coordinator. Just started a few weeks ago, and so she has already began the process of developing a comprehensive communications plan to the public. Additionally, another one of our goals is to ensure a vibrant economic development business center. So we have 9 objectives that fall into there. And then, as we always do, focus on improving town infrastructure, which has 10 goals, protecting the environment, another 8 goals. A focus on our personnel has been a big focus the last 3 years, and so strengthening our town's workforce, approximately 6 objectives there. And then creating an efficient town of government, which, as you know, has been a major focus of myself and the board over the past 3 years. There are 4 objectives there. And then, some of our long-term planning, we know we cannot accomplish in 12 months. So we have approximately 8 objectives that fall under long-term planning. I sent out the draft copy to the board. I tried to incorporate the discussion that was held in the workshop, like I said, 2 weeks ago. I'm here to answer any questions. Please let me know if I missed anything that we can add there. Please let me know if there's something that you don't think is appropriate for this year. We will certainly remove that. Once the board takes a final vote, we will post this on the town's website, so it's very clear to our community what our focus areas will be over the next 12 months. We'll come back in June of next year and measure ourselves once again.
Thank you, Derek. Any questions or comments for Derek? Mr. Canty?
So Derek, when you posted on the website, could you post unless we remove any as part of this discussion before the vote, could you post the memorandum that's in our packet rather than that overview so they'd know the specific goals that we're looking at?
Absolutely. So the memorandum, what I was hoping to do, like we've done in previous years, package it up,
Yep.
make it look a little bit more sophisticated.
Sure.
But yeah, we will be posting each one of the goals and their objectives that fall underneath it.
Because that would be helpful, like, too, for us, when we're trying to advance something, whether it be at a town meeting or we're voting on something here, everybody knows that it's in our goals, it's a justification for, well, why did they do that? Why are they pursuing that? Well, because we said we would. And then we can demonstrate that we're following through on our own commitments and our own goals for ourselves and each other.
Yeah, most definitely, we'll do that. I didn't post or present each one of the 53 objectives. I
Right.
just thought it would have been too complicated. But absolutely, in our final presentation that goes on the website, it will list all of our goals and all of our objectives.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Derek, thank you for the presentation. I want to commend you for the work that you've done on this. When this gets posted on the website and folks are able to take a look at it, they'll see just how ambitious your agenda is. And, this is reflective of a commitment that the assistant town manager, that your department heads and division heads have made to really improving the quality of life and the level of service that is experienced by residents living in this town. So I really encourage folks at home to take a look at this when it lands on the website. We've got a lot of work to do here in Plymouth, and the town manager and his team is aware of that. And they're going to do some incredible work to make sure that we meet all of the challenges that face this community. So thank you, Derek.
Yeah, thank you. And if I could respond to that, if those folks at home, once we have the final version listed, when you look at the objectives, it will not say fill potholes. It will not say pave roads or arrest bad guys or put out fires. That's what we do, right? That's why we're here. Everything listed here are new initiatives focused on, as Selectman Golden pointed out, improving the quality of life for our community. So this is something new, innovative, that we're trying to do to advance those folks that live, work, and play in this community.
Any other questions or comments for Derek? You want to vote on this, Derek?
Please.
Right. Motion on the board?
I'd make a motion that we approve the memorandum of listed goals as a result of the workshop.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion. Mr. Canty?
So I would just like to, point out that we are setting some ambitious targets for ourselves. Some of these we will be able to achieve this year, some of which we will begin advancing, will take more than 1 year to complete. But I think this board and the last board that I served with, because this is my second year, we've been really trying to move this town towards being more proactive and getting out ahead of our problems. And I think this continues that effort. I think that, prior to my joining the board, I had some frustration some years of things where we were responding to problems, too late. I've been on the FinCom for a number of years, so many of these members of this board were not serving at that time. But it was something that I wanted to really advance when I got here. I'm happy to be serving with 4 other members of this board that I think really want to do the same thing and get out ahead of our our problems rather than be so, obviously sometimes things come up that we have to react to, but the more things we can get out ahead of, the better it is, the cheaper it is, and the more effective it is. And I think this represents a continuation of that effort, and I look forward to achieving these goals.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. The proactive part. This is my 4th year on the board, and we've been proactive since I've been on this board. There's a lot of problems that we're trying to fix, and one thing I've learned, I've learned a lot, but sometimes things take a little bit longer than you'd like to get done. But we're close to, we're coming to fruition on some projects that we've been working on for a couple of years. And so I'm excited. But setting these goals are good, because it's something for us to work towards. And also, when we put these out here, we can be held accountable. You talked about doing this, why aren't you doing it? And we can look from year to year, how come we couldn't accomplish that? What do we have to do that? So I'm excited about what we're gonna do this year, and I wanna, first of all, get some things from last year completed. And like I say, I hope we're gonna do that very soon. So anyway, thank you.
Any other comments from the board and discussion? Yeah, and always, Derek, I just echo what everybody else basically said. I'm happy with administration and the roles you've all taken to get things done and organizing everything. And, of course, bringing forward the goals of all you sitting there, so we'll see what we can get done, and
Thank you.
thank you, seriously. All right, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Canty,
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes?
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go to the administrative notes, I'd like to move to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Okay. Anyone online, Jade? No? Thank you. Okay, then. Going to the administrative notes, you have 11. Any questions or comments? Mr. Canty?
If my colleagues have no questions or comments, I would make a motion that we approve the 11 administrative notes as a group.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Canty. It's a tie between Mr. Mahoney and Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes?
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Oh,
You too, John.
Thank
you got it.
Thank you.
They look very nice, by the way, when it gets up. Yep, yep. Town managers report, Mr. Brandisi.
Great. So I just have a few updates, if I could, this evening. I want to start with just to notify the community and certainly the board, please put in your calendar that there will be a ribbon-cutting event at Stevens Field on October 11th at 4 p.m. We have a meeting that evening, as you know, at 6 p.m. So we're going to do the ribbon cutting again, October 11th at 4 p.m. at Stevens Field. David Gould, who was our project manager on this project.
October 11th is a Friday?
It's supposed to be a Tuesday. Well, we'll have to get back to you on that. It's supposed to be that Tuesday. So I think maybe I was given the wrong date, but it's supposed to be the Tuesday prior. So I'll get back to you. I thought it was supposed to be October 8th, but we'll circle back. So I apologize for the confusion on that one. Yeah. So
We have time.
we'll get back to you on that. So moving on to something that I can speak to. David Gould, as you all know, the Director of Energy and Environment, was able to receive, he led a grant initiative back in 2022 where the town received, you may remember this, $25 million grant from the Army Corps of Engineering, $25 million to, the dike project on Long Beach, to restore the dike over at Long Beach. The award was made in '22, so 2 years now. There's been no movement on this project for 2 years by the Army Corps of Engineers, but he informed us today that they have a new project team, and we're hoping to start this project in the very near future. So this is going to be a massive project, again, funded by the federal government, $25 million to restore the dike over at Long Beach. So a long-awaited project, and we're looking forward to moving that forward. Did you have a question?
Question, on that. When you say the dike, you talking about the seawall?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
how far will that extend down? Not the seawall.
What are you referring to, Charlie?
I want to know what you're calling a dike.
He's referring to the spine that runs out on the Atlantic side of Long Beach. On Long Beach, when you go out on Long Beach,
Right.
you get out to a certain point, and there's large rocks that are,
That's it.
and I don't know how long it goes, but that's the only thing the federal government owns out there is that piece of infrastructure, or whatever the proper terminology is.
Right.
Because 25 million, I was just wondering.
I just want to show, we're talking about Long Beach, we're not talking about the area near Burt's, near Plymouth Beach.
Correct, way
Talking
up.
about past the crossover, those, as Selectman Mahoney pointed
Day
out, those
parking.
massive rocks, I would refer to as a seawall, that barrier that protects the beach. That's what they're going to rebuild, reconstruct.
I think the current structure, Charlie, might be almost a century old.
Well,
I think David has done presentations on this before. He could-
no, I remember.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of money, so anyway, thank you. Thanks,
It
Chairman.
is a lot of money. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that hopefully that project will start in the very near future. Just shifting a little bit, there's going to be next Monday at the library, there is a program called We Remember, We Recover. This is a event that focuses on remembering those individuals that we've lost to overdoses in the past number of years. As you know, our new Health and Human Service Department, being led by Commissioner Brady, has forged community partnerships with organizations like BAMSI, like South Shore Recovery Center, High Point, for example. And so they will be hosting this event, again, next Monday from 5 to 8 p.m. over at the library. So those that are interested, please join us all. You may have noticed, I hope you noticed, yesterday the governor signed the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act is is legislation that is focused on expanding benefits to our veterans in Massachusetts. So we'll be working very closely with our veterans agent on implementing this new HEROES Act. So more to come on that one. More public information will be forthcoming in the future weeks. Moving on to the DPW, September 9th, there will be 4 streets where we will conduct full depth reclamation. Just so folks are aware, these streets I'm about to name are over 50 years old. So I think we've received our money's worth. So the streets of Hoover, Kennedy, Truman, and Eisenhower, those 4 streets will get full depth reclamation on those starting on September 9th. So as you all know, full depth reclamation is the most costly street improvement that we can make. It's roughly 1 mile equates to about $1 million, full depth reclamation. The election is coming, so September 3rd, as you all know, is the primary election. That'll take place from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. But so folks that are aware, that early voting will start this weekend in the atrium from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And then next week, early voting will continue during town hall hours. So look at town hall hours, and that's when you'll know when we will continue to hold early voting. And then I wanted to make an announcement. We just posted this on our website yesterday that the Boston Bruins will be in town this Sunday. They have made 3 stops in Massachusetts to celebrate their 100th year anniversary. They chose Plymouth as one of the 3 communities that they're having this Bruins Day event. This event will take place this coming Sunday from 12 to 5. It's going to be in the back parking lot at Memorial Hall. And we are also closing Memorial Drive so that we can use that space and so vehicles aren't navigating that area. So we're expecting it to be a great event. Weather looks great for Bruins Day on Sunday. Certainly the Waterfront Festival is on Saturday. So we're going to have a lively, very active downtown center this coming weekend. And then, is the chief still here? The chief is still here. So the chief, this past Friday, held a graduation ceremony for 22 of our youth in the Plymouth Public Schools. This is the junior academy that the police department has been running. It's part of the chief's community policing efforts. So ages all from 5th grade all the way up to 8th grade, exposing students what it is to be a police officer and the things that they do day in, day out. That was a 2-week academy. We're hoping that over time that we continue this program and this becomes a pipeline for law enforcement here in Plymouth. So congratulations to the chief for all the work that him and his team have done with this new program. Pending any questions, that's all I have for this evening.
Any questions for Derek or comments? Excuse me? Well, wait a minute, though. If you want to, well, I'm going to try to explain it to you. You need to go up to the podium, make sure the green light's on, but let us just finish what we're doing here in a minute, and I'll let you speak. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, so any questions for Derek?
Yeah, Derek, following up, so I think it's 6 o'clock next Monday, the full sale presentation? Is
That's
that being-
correct,
That being
yes.
led by Mr. Gould?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and then he'll just make a presentation and then open it up to questions after that?
Yeah, so I'll recap that. I'm sorry I didn't announce that. But next Monday in this room at 6 p.m., David Gould, again, the Director of the Department of Energy and Environment, will be presenting the proposed acquisition and conceptual designs of the full sale parcels. We expect many folks in the community to be present to help inform some of the future designs of that parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments for Derek?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Derek. Select Board discussion, new business? Letters?
Yeah, I have some new business.
Okay, Mr. Blitzer.
The chief left, but I just want a reminder, I talked to Derek, I think, earlier, about we're having some activity again in the garage and in the parking lots. At night, I'm getting complaints. It was pretty good all summer, all of a sudden it's starting again, so please take notice, there's the chief right there, that we have to be vigilant on them, because it was stopped for a while after we put that ordinance in. The other thing I just want to remind is this weekend coming up, we have 2 events. Derek already talked about them. So the town is going to be packed. There's going to be a lot of people in town, and I really recommend folks that don't know about the circuit ride that we have in town, find some lots, on the outskirts of town. We have some free lots out there that you could park in, and then you call the circuit ride. It comes to downtown and the waterfront, and it'll pick you up. It's a free app. It's called the Circuit app, and it's a great feature, and it will take you right into town. And that garage up top behind Town Hall here, That's always open. It's always open up there. And if you don't want to walk down, they'll pick you up and take you down there. So just a reminder to use that. Chief, I was talking about I'm getting complaints again on the garage up here with the activity. The other night, your officers came down, moved them out, but they came back and they were revving engines, blowing the horn. So I know unless you see them, you can't catch them. It's hard to do. I just wanted to, if the presence, when the police presence is out there, it works. And I know you can't be there all the time. And the neighbors know this too. They just wanted me to remind you. Also, I think down in the Copper Cove too, again, you probably know about that.
Yeah, yeah, we're the issue. Again, we appreciate the residents' understanding what we're up against as well.
Right.
And we're doing the best we can, and we're trying to solve their problems and
So I have one question.
permanently.
I have a question for you on that. When we amended this bylaw, it changed the hours of it. Is that a problem? Do you think if it was all the time, it would help to control this situation? Is that something we have to change, or do you think the bylaw, how it is okay?
Well, I think for now, the hours will be okay. I mean, we haven't been able to enact it yet. It's still up in the Attorney General's office for review, so we haven't gotten the approval to start enforcing it yet.
Excuse me.
So we're hoping this very soon, because we really need it.
I get you. So that's still, the Attorney General hasn't ruled on that? Wow.
No, not yet.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Anything else under new business or letters? Old business? I just want to ask that you pass on to the planning board and the steering committees. I assume they fall under the planning board's direction, that any meetings, agenda items that pertain to the Benny's Plaza or the Pulte property down in North Plymouth, that they notify this office so we can advertise and let the residents in this community know what's going on. They had a meeting at the North Plymouth Steering Committee last week, and people showed up in numbers to speak, and I understand the venue was a little small, but the takeaway here is that a lot of people were there and were, voicing their opinions of what they think, and I just want it to be open and clear to people, like it's gonna go to the planning board, sooner or later too, but I think that if it starts at the steering committees, all the people and the residents should be allowed to know what's going on. And I know we have the press department up on our floor now, and but I think you have to actually sign up to get that, right? I mean, she's not like posting on Facebook, is she, or is she?
Yes, so all of the above. So
Okay.
if we send out some notice, and depending on what type of notice it is, individuals need to sign up for a specific notice, and it'll be pushed to their email. But we are also pushing information through social media as well. So, some of it's pushed, some of it you have to go find. In this case, we weren't notified of the steering committee meeting.
Right.
Normally, that would have been posted on the town's website, and that would have been pushed out to the
It would,
community.
okay, so I guess that's what it's not to point fingers at anybody, but I think going forward, any meetings that, they should all be posted, so everybody knows, and that way I can follow it also and help spread the word, but I think it's very important, and I love the fact that we have that now, so.
Yeah, so in that situation, just so I'm clear, you can sign up for very specific board and committee notices. So
Okay,
if you want to sign up, say, for the Open Space Committee, when they post their agenda, that'll be pushed to you. So folks have to be very clear what they want information on, because they won't get all the information. And we don't post on social media all of the board and committee meetings, unless we're specifically asked to post something on social media, because we have so many of them. We have, a dozen a week. But so unless we're specifically asked, we wouldn't post it on social media.
okay, so I'm gonna specifically ask that we post anything that do with either one of those projects, because they're huge, and it's gonna affect North Plymouth quite a bit.
And you said
so.
Benny's, what was the other one? Pulte?
The Pulte property down on the old knife property. Thank you very much. Anything else for the town manager? All right, before we adjourn, a gentleman in the audience asked to speak. Yeah, you have to go up, make sure the mic's on, and I'll give you 3 minutes, sir. That's what we usually give people, okay?
All right, so I'll begin with my name.
Yes.
My name is Joseph Thomas Robinson II. I was born 9876 in Hanson, Massachusetts, Braintree to be exact. I know a lot of information. I'm not happy, okay, at my age. You've maybe seen me, know me, I'm related to the Bruces, oh well, who cares? Sorry for my language, I'm trying to use a choice of words, I've never done this. I don't like Plymouth. I was gonna run for mayor. My name will be Patience as a virtue. I'm learning everything around town. I'm mad that Massasoit doesn't have a birthday. I am Wampanoag Indian too as well. I don't like this town. It's fake. All right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect you. I'm not disrespecting you, I'm disrespecting the town. China bought, I don't know. Steal your identity, I don't know. I've gone to the International House. They've wanted me to walk for it. Do this, do that. No. Every time I go around to 7-Eleven, I'm something different. I never even graduated high school, gentlemen. Never served in the Army. I brought myself here. Christ brought myself here. And then I have to stand before you and shake and shiver to think, is there one person in this stupid town, forgive me for that I stay for? I don't know. There's never been a mayor. I don't understand politics. I don't own a TV. I love music. I play all around town. I could play down the street if I want to. I write music for people. That's my forte, plethora of knowledge. My mother, Shirley Ann Cousins, of Glenwood Place. Rockland Dump decides just to bring this over here to dump crap into our system. What's going on in Plymouth? I don't know. It's all fake. All the things that I'm learning at 47, I have to reinvent? I don't know if I have the time or somebody is available enough in this town, as in Sodom and Gomorrah, or our forefathers that Massasoit got ripped away from. I'm telling people, veterans in this town, doing stuff all day, all night, 2 a.m. to 1 a.m. is my schedule. When churches are sleeping, I'm awake. I'm not Batman, I'm not Spider-Man. I've been through hell and high water to stand here. I don't know what to do. At 47, I wanted to quit for the first time. Put my stuff down. I don't know. I don't know if this town's worth me staying here. I could go to Israel, help them out. I could pick any nation, guys. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me. They didn't believe Martin Luther. I know secrets. I know CIA secrets. All right? Cryptos, French taboo, this, that, this. I've talked to the White House. I saw the Taliban leader the 4th of July. They locked me away. As the SWAT team walks around and says, okay, knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. No. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying. I follow my footsteps. All right, Plymouth has the most terrorists in the world. I don't know. I don't care. I don't fight that crap. I want what's right for Massasoit. So my end question would be, how do I get Massasoit's birthday on my day? Or do you guys know what his birthday is? 'Cause
Okay,
it's a
your
yellow
three,
birthday.
your 3 minutes are up.
I hear you. That's the best I can do.
What? Thank you.
I don't know what to do. Either see me outside, direct me, I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I'll be around.
Thank you. Thank you. Upcoming agenda items, subject to date change, but August 27th, Seaside Grace Trail presentation. And September 3rd, there'll be no meeting as state primary elections. So at this point, I would ask a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Have a good week.